Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. In tonight's episode, let's go back over a century and explore one of the most complex figures in Western history. He was at the same time a gifted writer, an English gentleman, and a stern military man. He was born into a noble lineage, but it was his life's work that earned him a knighthood. He was hated by some as a brash and pompous elitist, but lauded by most as a hero of democracy and a champion of the free world. This complex man is Sir Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of Great Britain during the Second World War. Churchill was born into the British aristocracy in 1874, a direct descendant of the first Duke of Marlborough, Prince John Churchill, from the 17th century. Young Winston was not made for a quiet school life, and he joined the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst as a young man. He traveled throughout the world in the British military and developed a love for the written and spoken word. He returned home at the age of 26, and by this time, he had written and published 5 books. He entered the British political sphere and served as the first Lord of Admiralty, or the English equivalent of the U.S. Secretary of the Navy, during the First World War. Churchill was instrumental in developing the Royal Navy into a modern nautical superpower, but despite the Allied victory, he was unable to translate his military finesse to much success during the war. Churchill remained in the British government during the two decades between the world wars, and here is where we see his genius on display. He was one of the first politicians in the free world to voice public concerns about the imminent danger of German nationalism under the rise of Adolf Hitler. When Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, the rest of the world realized what Churchill already knew, that the Nazis had to be stopped. Britain removed the foolish Neville Chamberlain and instituted Winston Churchill as Prime Minister in 1940. Churchill brilliantly rallied the British nation, a nation still wounded from World War I, to take up the fight against Nazi Germany. The Brits proved to be a formidable force against the powerful Nazis under Churchill, and the battles between the Royal Air Force and the German Luftwaffe over the skies of London would go down as legendary in the annals of war. Under Churchill's leadership, Britain held fast as the leader of the free world against the Nazis until their chief ally entered the fray in 1941, the United States. The two superpowers led the free world to victory over the Axis, and after the war, when the Allies' fragile alliance with the communist Soviet Union deteriorated, the US and Great Britain remained as the champions of the free world. As he had before World War II, Churchill wisely discerned the evil nature behind Joseph Stalin's communist regime, declaring that an Iron Curtain had descended across Europe in 1946. Churchill was knighted by Queen Elizabeth in 1953 for his great service to his country. He served as Britain's Prime Minister until 1955 and died at the age of 90 in 1965. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.